modern life is just confusing, isn't it? Like it's not even good. There's a lot of downfalls to modern life, and if you're between 20 and 35, 40, not one of the older generations that kind of skip past it, then you're right in the middle of it. You're deep in it, just like me, and it's kind of weird and scary and confusing. And anyway, I found a lot of things that I can do to really help get out of this weird, scary, confusing mold of modern life. And I'm going to share those with you today. There's quite a few things that have really helped me, and hopefully they can help you too if you haven't considered them. Hey creators, Eamon here, and this is where I help you unlock your dream creative life. So let's get into it. One of the first things that I've found to do, and I don't remember exactly where I heard this, maybe a podcast, maybe somewhere else, is popping my phone on grayscale. And this has been huge for me just because it makes scrolling on things way less exciting. You wouldn't think it would, right? But if I found that if I had my phone on grayscale, and there's in fact a shortcut on iPhone, you can just tap the three buttons on the side. You might not be able to see it because there's no color on that app anyway. Then you can trigger it to go straight into grayscale, right? And I put that on when I go to bed, and then when I wake up, it's still on. And I just try and keep it on for as long as I can, right? I have a habit in the morning. I like go to the gym, come home, meditate, do my morning routine. As I'm eating after the gym, that's when I find I jump into TikTok, jump into Reddit. And if I have that grayscale on, it's way less motivating to stay on the app. And then sometimes you don't even use the phone at all. You just put it down, or you just listen to a podcast, or you just don't consume anything. And I've found that on the days that I have my phone on grayscale for as long as I can, even up until about midday, I have just an immensely more productive and enjoyable day. And, I don't know the science behind it or anything, but I assume it's something to do with I'm not just abusing all my dopamine receptors, and I've got that natural dopamine in store to actually do productive things in the morning. And then after lunch, or whenever I'm feeling a bit of downtime, I need a bit of a break in the afternoon, that's when I indulge myself. And then I jump on TikTok or Reddit or whatever, and I allow myself to take the grayscale off. And it's a real reward then. It's as if you're rewarding yourself for having a productive morning. And if you can get in the habit of this, and I wish that there was like a way to just trigger it to turn on and off at particular times, and there might even be. I might have to look into that. But that's been very effective for me, just because obviously everyone's addicted to their phones. Everyone's addicted to particular apps on their phones. And it's just like, it's so hectic. And anything that you can do to take that away, like that's helped me, I've found. So, and the second thing is just straight up deleting social media. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I've got all the socials on my phone right now except for Facebook. I have never really had Facebook on my phone unless I'm selling something on Marketplace or something like that, or I'm looking for something on Marketplace. But I've never really been into Facebook. It's kind of pretty toxic, and I've had the Facebook blocker on my computer for literally 10 years, and whenever I turn it off, I'm like, this is so horrible. I don't want to be on here at all. But for times at a time, I'll just delete TikTok. And this takes the grayscale thing even further, because you're like, right, I'm going to reach for this thing and it's not there. So you have to figure out an alternative, or at least there's a big hurdle in the way between you and having that mindless scroll for half an hour or however long you do it for. So, I download it to like post, but then I'll delete it again, right? But just having that hurdle in the way, it just forces you to rethink what you're about to do. Because often when you pick up your phone, it's just an impulse, right? And I can go on Reddit, but if I've already checked Reddit that day, then there's nothing really that exciting there for me, right? So, like having just another barrier between you and actually that, it makes you rethink what you're going to do. And oftentimes, if I need a break or something, I've got a big deck, I just go and sit on my deck and I just sit there without scrolling on my phone mindlessly. And I can see all the colors in the skyline, and, I can breathe, and I can focus on just existing, which is really nice within itself, right? And again, not something you really consider when you have like this numbing agent ready to just go bang, numb me. It's like this like pleasure pain button where you like press it a bunch of times, like you're just like a rat trapped in a cage kind of thing. Horrible analogy to make, but somewhat realistic and necessary. So that's been helpful for me as well. And I don't do it right. I haven't done it right now, but I have been experimenting with that over the last few months. And again, it just creates that barrier, which is really helpful. The third thing is not using my phone when I'm eating. Now, this one's a really tough one. I definitely struggle with this one. But, if you don't have apps on your phone and your phone's on grayscale, it makes it that much easier. Because often when I'm at the gym, I'll be listening to podcasts and, listen to music and replying to things to do with work, even though it's 6 a.m. in the morning and I shouldn't be doing that. But then when I get home and if I eat, or just even if it's one meal, every now and again, it genuinely makes a difference and you should give it a shot. I dare you, because it's actually crazy when you never do it. Obviously, we're all trained and conditioned into, we're eating. Well, we must be having dopamine just like plugged into our brain aggressively while we're doing that. I'm definitely I'm the first to put my hand up and say, I can't wait to watch something while I'm eating. That's definitely an addiction that I have, right? But damn, when you don't do it, again, I have this deck outside, and if it's breakfast or lunch or even a snack, and I can just have my phone away, or I'll leave my phone in my studio, then if I just focus on eating and I'm just present, it's another time where your brain can process thoughts throughout the day, which we had a lot of these times in the past, and now we don't, which is why people wonder why we're anxious all the time. It's like, well, the only time that we have to process our thoughts is right before bed, because that's the only time we don't have our phone actively, because we're trying to fall asleep, right? And so then you can't fall asleep because your brain's trying to process all these thoughts throughout the day, like defragging like a computer, right? And then you feel anxious and you can't go to sleep, and people wonder why they're depressed and hate their existence. It's like, well, you used to have a lot of different times during the day that you had to just process these thoughts, right? And to build on that, like another thing that I do, this is the fourth one, I believe, is just actively doing more things outside. And that's like, with my partner or with a friend every weekend, just trying to integrate a bike ride, or there's a couple of little nature strips around here every, even if it's an hour or 2 hours, or if it's 3 hours, or if you drive for an hour and you do a 3-hour thing and you drive back. And then if you're vegged out for the rest of the day, you're watching TV for the rest of the day, you feel really good about yourself. And especially if you're doing those things without technology by yourself, that's amazing. Even just afternoon or morning walks every day. If you don't have that in play, that makes you feel a whole lot better. And sometimes I'm slamming myself with a podcast on 2 times speed while I'm walking around, and that's all good if you want to do that sometimes. But also sometimes, just not even taking my phone at all. And it's funny when you witness the anxiety where you're like, oh, I'm not taking my phone. What happens if what? Like nothing's going to happen. On a 20-minute walk or a half an hour walk, so yeah, not taking your phone at all is actually very freeing on a little outside activity. And so the fifth thing is catching up with more than one friend during the week, and making that a huge priority. Because again, one of the biggest things we lack in this weird modern reality is community, and I think that's the biggest key to the downfall of all of this, because we've got this technology in our phone, right? And it's beautiful, it's amazing. We can do so much with it, but because we don't have this close interconnected community, it's so easy. That's when we, tap the numbing button, and we're the rats in the cage with the drugs on the side of the thing where they can't get out of the cage, right? You wouldn't do that if you were surrounded by a community. You just wouldn't, right? Because you wouldn't have time. You wouldn't care to pick up your phone. You're actually interacting with a human being that shares the same values as you, right? So community is huge. And if you can combine all of these together, that's where the magic really happens, I've found. So again, you're doing something on the weekend with a friend where you're outside doing something active, and this is an actual friend that you share the same values with. You're able to talk and communicate and do something together. You feel really good. Even if you go get fast food afterwards, or a healthy meal maybe. And then even if you're watching TV for the rest of the day, it's a really good balance, rather than just being inside all day, staring at a screen all day long. And look, sometimes you have to do that again. But what I'm trying to communicate here is that all these little things you can recognize to do to break out of this mold of this modern weird existence, it changes your mindset. It changes how you feel about yourself and your existence on your day-to-day basis. And that's immensely valuable if you ask me. And yeah, so the effect of this that I've noticed is that life is generally just more vivid, right? Colors are brighter, social interactions feel deeper and more fulfilling, more meaningful. You can actually have deeper connections with people. And the more you lean into all of these habits, the more the, deeper, more meaningful connections you get actually are, right? You actually notice and appreciate reality for what it is more. And again, like this shouldn't be a crazy thing, but it is. That's the funny thing about this. And you end up seeking out more healthy behaviors as well, which is the best part of this as well, because negative behaviors, they perpetuate negative behaviors, positive behaviors perpetuate positive behaviors, right? So the more you're doing something positive, the more, you get a good sleep, and then you go to the gym, and then you eat healthy, then you're going to go to bed on time, you're going to get a good sleep, and it just perpetuates, right? So every time you're doing any of these things, it really stacks up in your favor. And that's why I'm saying if you do these 1% things or 5% things here or there, the more you do them, the more you're going to feel good. At least that's what I've found, right? And the opposite is definitely true as well. Go out and you have 3 beers on a Friday night, you have a bad sleep, you're going to wake up on Saturday, you're going to get fast food, you're probably not going to exercise, and it just perpetuates bad habits, right? That's just what I've noticed in myself. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think about this whole topic, because it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had more often, I think. It's just the whole modern world and existence for this kind of age group right now, and who knows what the next age group is experiencing. I can't even relate to that. It's weird and nonsense and confusing, and it's not that great, but there's things that you can do about it, and there's things you probably should be doing about it, regardless of how you feel. And these are some of the things that have helped me make my life more enjoyable. And after this, I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna what do they say? Walk the talk the. Did I just have a stroke? I don't know. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you got some value out of this. If there's anything I missed as well, I'd love to know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.